How's it going, Oblivion Gate enthusiasts? Today we're going to talk about two-handed, and what is the point of two-handed. So two-handed in the OG had slightly farther reach, and it definitely attacked way faster than this. Now, the damage difference between one and two-handed has always been kind of negligible for some reason. So here is a Perfect Madness Claymore, which has 32 damage, and then here is a Perfect Madness Longsword, which has 30 damage. But if we look at the attack rate difference, I'm attacking as fast as I possibly can. Very huge swings, very slow. Now let's switch to the Longsword. Significantly faster. So for the damage difference of 2, I swing at like a third of the speed of a weapon that has slightly less reach. So I think it's obvious that long swords, short swords, and daggers are kind of like the metagame in this game, and things like two-handed are just like fun to use and you can use them. But what is the point of them? Unfortunately, I don't think there really is one outside of like role-playing and fun. Now, they're not so bad that you can't kill enemies with them and you can't beat the game with them, even on Master Mode. They're good enough to do that, and there are some things you can do to speed them up. So the first thing you can do is Radial canceling. So what Radial canceling is you open up the Radial menu really quick, and what it does, it interrupts the animation, allowing you to essentially chop the tree, is what I like to think of it as. So if we go up to an enemy, we can chop the tree, so to speak. Now you can Radial cancel like power attacks, and this is like the best it gets. But does the extra range matter? So we can safely conclude that the damage doesn't really matter, right? The damage is not really doing much. But does the range matter? Honestly, almost never. Most enemy melee attacks have pretty far reach, and you don't really get that much reach. And the main use case that you would want to use the reach on is like being on top of a rock, and for some reason like the melee is bugged on rocks. So like if I'm looking at something next to me and attacking it, I have normal attack range, but if I'm on a rock and I attack things, even if I'm like crouched, the melee range seems to be like reduced. So even if you wanted to use the reach to like attack something on like high ground or outside of its range, most enemies' attack range is actually way farther than it should be, especially clan fears. So like a lot of the basic Daedra have these pretty long-reaching attacks. Now enemy humans tend to have low-reaching attacks. They use the same rules you do for melee weapon range. But for you versus like a creature, the creature's gonna have pretty big reach. So there's also another big problem with two-handed weapons. That is the weight. They're some of the heaviest weapons in the game, if not the heaviest weapons in the game. So you're getting a slight increase in range, a slight increase in damage, for a drastic increase in weight, and a huge reduction in attack speed that you can only bypass through Radial canceling, which is definitely unintentional. Like, the game is not meant to be played like this, but the fact that it's in the game, I think they should leave it, because in its current form, it just doesn't make sense how slow these attack. Like, this is me attacking as fast as I can. It's crazy how slow this is. For how slow this is, these should be dealing like 100 damage per hit, unironically, compared to the long swords like 30, because the attack rate is like a third, so it should do at least like 2 to 3 times the damage to justify throwing out a shield. The other thing too is you have to throw out a shield. So the shields can still give you an enchantment. So for example, I have 15% absorb on this madness shield, and if I go to magic right now and we go to the spell absorb, I'm still getting the benefit of the shield. I'm not getting the armor of the shield though. So right now I'm at 83 armor, which is obviously not max. And then if I equip something else, after I stop attacking here, if I equip anything else, the shield armor now kicks in, so now I'm at armor cap. So when you have high levels of armor and you're using Madness armor, which is a little bit better than Daedric, you usually can hit basically armor cap. But I think this character also has a Lord sign. So I need the Lord sign plus Madness armor to almost hit armor cap. So you're throwing out armor cap, you're throwing out a shield. You do get the shield enchantment, which is at least something, but you don't get the armor. And you also lose out on the best blocking in the game. Oblivion Remastered blocking is so broken that it, in most cases, nullifies damage. So if you like run up to something and start DPSing, and you block an attack, assuming that it's an attack that's blockable, you will take, like right there, I took like literally no damage. So it's so strong, like you throw out blocking. The other thing that's nice about blocking is you can bounce enemies off of you and stagger them so that they can't continue attacking you. So you can nullify damage or reduce damage to the point where it's near zero. It's like maybe single digit damage numbers. You can stagger, you can shield bash. There's so much that you get from just using like any kind of one-handed weapon that two-handed is just so outclassed. The only way I could see it being better is if they buffed the range on it, buffed the damage to at least 2 times, so that way we have a reason to use it. A slight damage increase and a slight range increase for all these downsides is just not worth it. Unless you're doing role-playing, unless you're just playing for fun. Now, can you beat the game on Master Mode with two-handed weapons? Absolutely. Especially if you use things like ramping and conjuration and poisons and stuff like that. Or even if you just do the attack canceling I showed earlier, you can still deal decent enough damage to kill things. So it's really up to you as to how much of that you want to use, if any. But the basic attack rate, like if I were to duel this Spider Daedra on Master Mode, it's gonna take me a minute. Now I obviously want to do like power attack into a cancel, just to get, you know, some base debuff on it. The per hit damage is fine. The other thing too, with Blade has this passive at expert level where your attacks have a chance to bleed, and it's like 1 in 4 chance to bleed. And the bleed damage is actually decent, and this is per attack. So if you have a faster attacking weapon, your chance to inflict a bleed is higher because you're attacking more often. So this is another downside. Dang, that spider just like flew. This is another downside of two-handed weapons, is the fact that one-handed weapons can trigger more bleeds. They have shield, they have shield bash, they have blocking, they have faster attack rate. They can self-stack like damage enchantments. So if I throw like 100% weakness on like a weapon, like if I do like fire damage, weakness to fire, weakness to magic on a weapon, that weapon can ramp itself, especially if it's like a dagger or short sword. So as you're hitting the enemy, the damage increases until they die. Now for two-handed, you can do that as well, especially if you do like the attack canceling. It is harder to do technically. Oh, I just got paralyzed. It's technically harder to do because you have to like pull off several cancels, but if you can do that, it's actually not that bad. It's basically similar to a dagger. But the advantages of having the attack reach and the damage, I would say, are just not worth it. It needs to have like a significant damage increase to justify running these. The other thing too is there's not really any mechanical benefit like there is with like short swords and daggers, where you get like the faster ramping and you get like the bleed stacks. That's the other thing that daggers can do as well, is like stack bleeds because it attacks so fast. Obviously if you do the radial canceling, you get similar attack rates. Now let's actually like test the range here. The range can be decent for like poking, because it is a little bit farther out. It's almost like having a spear. But if you're running like a tank build on Master Mode, or any build on Master Mode, chances are you can tank a hit, or at the very least block a hit, which gets you in. So like the range, it's kind of nice. It's really slow. Radial canceling while moving is actually really difficult to do unless I like jump. But this is like kind of like a demo of like what it would look like. The other thing too is like power attacks cost you more stamina because the weapons are heavier. So you can easily run out of resources. Alright, let's try to regen up here. Like a big attack. I think with the radial cancel it's not bad, but some people consider that an exploit and will refuse to learn how to do it or to do it in general. Oops. But with good positioning... Yeah, like, see how he's trading with me at range? This is, like, the issue, really, is that most of these enemies can counterattack you. So it's like you don't even have a monopoly. Like, look at how far he hit me from over there. He has more range than I do, so, like, I have to play around his range. So I'm getting zoned or whatever. Alright, so to wrap up, do I think two-handed needs buffed? Absolutely. Do I think the devs are going to buff it? I think they're too focused on bug fixes, and I don't think it's likely that we'll see any kind of balance changes in the game, so you're probably going to have to rely on mods to balance things. The mother of all balance patches is a decent mod that buffs two-handed to have like roughly 70 to 80% more damage than one-handed. I do think that mod is pretty decent as a kind of vanilla friendly mod. And by that I mean like it adjusts things to the point where there's at least a reason to run like warhammers and maces and stuff, because there's like a noticeable slight damage edge relative to other options. So with the 70 to 80% damage increase, it's not bad. Now I'm not using ramping or enchanting or anything. I'm still able to deal okay damage, it's just slower. And the range isn't really helping me at all. Like, even though I hit him and moved like to here, he still hit me with his counterattack. So you're usually better off running shields, because shields at least let you get in close. So if I run a shield here, like Umbra or something, I can take no damage on the way in, and then go back to blocking. And look at how quick I attack too. I don't have to radial cancel, I can just get in, I can just get some damage off. I can do like a moving power attack into a block. Easily work it down. It's not even comparable, it's just too weak relative to one-handed right now. Alright, so that is it for this one. Just wanted to rant about two-handed because I know I'm not the only one who's found it to be kind of lackluster. So definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this useful, and I'll see you guys next one. Peace.